Hello, welcome. Marlin here. Today we're working on some Christmas tree cookies inspired by Hungarian folk art, some floral patterns. You'll find the template attached to the Patreon post. And now on to the step-by-step tutorial. And the size of the cutter. It's pretty big, you can see here. And I picked it up at Michael's. It had these terrible inserts like that. I took some pliers and cut them, because I did like the star and how the cutter overall is shaped. So I did pick it up with the 50% off coupon. Full disclosure, this cookie has been giving me a headache. It's so big that by the time I finish, it's already started crusting. And so I've got now some kind of thickish icing to outline, and I've got a really runny icing so that it levels, because my usual consistency is, like I say, crusting by the time I get to the end. And it looks horrible. I need this all to be very smooth for the particular design that I'm doing. Normally a tree wouldn't be a big deal, but because of the decoration that I'm adding on top, I need a very smooth surface, and I'm just outlining everything. This thicker icing is also allowing me to go closer to the edge. And now, let's finish this side. I'm just going to flatten this little peak here and this little peak here. And now my very runny icing. Be careful so you don't spill over the edge. Connect to your outline so that there isn't too much of a separation. And now the rest. The star is kind of the smallest area. I've got a relatively big hole, as you can see, so that I can work a bit faster. And just smoothing out everything, leveling out our icing. As soon as it all connects, it'll self-level because it's so runny. And now we're going to try to give it a bit of a shake, just to force the icing smooth a bit. Here is my cookie. The icing is dry. I've created a template, which you'll find exclusively on Patreon. You're going to have to print it and cut out the sections. I didn't cut it out completely. It's just to give me an idea of my lines when I'm working. And now this is paper. If I airbrush this, it's going to fly around. And so I've put some mesh here in my stencil snap, and I couldn't fit the cookie in there, and so I left this part out, and I'll just hope that it's going to do the job to hold it down. It's weighing it down. There. And now I'm just going to lightly dust my holes here to get my design onto the cookie. You see? So a light misting. Also, you don't want to oversaturate your paper. This is a paper template, and so that'll mess it up. Let's see what we've got. You see, that's all I wanted. I just want to have a general idea of where to put my lines. Here is the dry cookie with this white stencil, and now what we're going to do is just basically hide all this with the colored icing, and nobody will know that we had a template on there. I'm going to start with the blue and just work my way down the cookie. You can adjust. Sometimes the cookies, you know, kind of shift in baking. They look a little bit different. So if you need to adjust your lines for a better fit, you can certainly do that. Just fill it in. You see here I'm completely hiding the white. And you can come in with your needle if you need to adjust. And the stencil pretty much takes away all the wondering where you should put your lines. And the blue over here on this flower. See, some of it is off the cookie, so I'm kind of tweaking it so that it fits on the cookie and it's not half off. I'm just squeezing, creating a ball, and then pulling towards the center of the flower. And we'll fill those in after with the middle. And now the bottom section here. Basically the same as the top. I just kind of altered it slightly to fit with the stump. That's it for the blue. Let's grab the green. And now I'm grabbing the green. Here there's a leaf right here. And a stem for like a little flower here. And I'm just using my needle to kind of get the shape the way I want it. And there's another leaf on this side. I didn't put any green on the top section. just like that. And on the bottom section here, I'm just creating kind of like a flower stamen, but kind of artsy. And then from here, I'm going to bring it over like that, you see? And the yellow flower is going to be built on this. And then I have some tear shapes to kind of mimic leaves over here. Let's repeat that on this side over here. Just like that. And again, with that green line connecting. And there. I'm going to let that dry a little bit. I'm going to work on the red now. So we'll start at the top. I'm just filling in the center here with some red, a little tear shape. There. And you can outline everything in flood if you want, but this is kind of the dual consistency, and so you don't get an outline. And now for the rose, let's start from the center and build out. And now the rest of the shapes are pretty easy. These are just basically tiers, so you're building up the dot and then pulling towards the center. You might need your needle to just smooth the ripples out of them. You want to try to make sure that the white is hidden. It doesn't matter if it's showing, it kind of creates like a shadow, but it's just so that they're the right size and they don't look kind of too empty. Okay, so there's the rose, and now over here the center of this flower now. There, and here I've got just some little tear shapes. I think that's about it. Now I'm grabbing, the last color is the yellow. So the stamen at the top here. And then on this one, oh, and I have some here, some little flowers that kind of go with this stem. There. And for this here, I'm just using the green line kind of to build this flower. So it's attached to the green, and I'm just going to pull here, create a point. Let's just make sure there's a good connection, and then here, kind of rounded, and then it pulls like that. And we're just going to heel it all together. And let's repeat on this side what we just did. That's it for the colors. And now I'm going to grab my white and create my sections that I'll fill after, once they've had a bit of time to dry. See the triangle there? That tells me where to kind of end. And I'm just doing some little tear shapes right there. And then some little dots right here. There we go, and now I'm just going to close that off at the top because we need to flood this in some runny white icing. It has to be kind of translucent, so if it's really runny, it'll kind of be see-through and we'll get like a grayish color from the black behind. And now this one here, using those points again. Oh, I just realized I forgot the middles of those blue flowers. No big deal, we'll come in and do that. So you see here, you're going into the middle of the sections of the blue flower above. Okay, some dots here. We're going to let these dry so they don't get messed up when we flood, but I'm just grabbing my yellow now to do the middles of these. There. And we're just going to let this dry, like I say, just a little bit for the white to set up so I can come in and fill that in. The white lines have had time to dry now, and I'm coming in with a paintbrush and just kind of spreading this icing in this area. And because it's runny, it'll not give like a super opaque coverage. It'll be somewhat translucent. We'll see the black a bit from behind. It seems to collect with the white lines on the edge, and so it's a bit more white there, and it gets a little bit kind of grayer towards the center. Like it's just the black showing through a bit more at the center area. And try not to get it on the other sections. And it should heal pretty easily because it's so runny. You see, it just needs some guidance with the paintbrush, and then it settles. You don't want to overfill because you do want that black to show up through it. So if you put a lot of white icing in there, well, obviously it won't be as translucent. You see here, I'm seeing the black. If you have a little bit too much, you can just kind of like take it off and it'll I do want the black to show through. You see? Like that. That's the completed one, and I'm over here now. I'm going to do that. I'm going to put a border all around it just so that the sections kind of tie together. So I'm starting at the top and I'm doing like a tear shape and pulling. Doing what's called a shell border all around. So it's just a dot, pull, dot, pull. You could just do dots, literal dots, but they take a bit longer. If you're making Christmas cookies, you need to operate. You need to be able to work quick. And now this side. I made a total of 3 cookies. As you can see here, they're all very similar thanks to the stencil. And also you can see that the white isn't showing, so really it becomes completely invisible. Even if it's like showing a little bit on the edge, it just creates a bit of a shadow. Thanks so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future uploads, and I'll see you next time.